25. And if these powers are left unchecked by righteousness, they would soon destroy the earth, which the Father has created to bring happiness to his children, not misery, and that they shall suffer by the misuse of their laws. So, because of the global warming, now, which global warming, as the people of science or those who follow Satan call it, the righteous will say is the misuse of the laws of heaven. And people who follow Satan will call it global warming. So the misuse of the internal laws, the followers of Satan call it global warming. So if you go through natural disasters, so you see, after Satan takes root and halfway time is coming to an end, which from calculations and estimations have come to an end, because I was listening to one teacher say, I think from, is it plague number 5, this after the seal, possibly from seal 6 to 7 or 5 to 7, there is no beast in those seals. The overall is nature responding or punishing mankind or the children of Father for their transgression. And that's what the science community or the follower of Satan had already knew would happen and call it climate change. So now we see that as natural disasters, flood, hail, wildfires, which are already prophesied. We already know this from the apocalypse of Abraham, the 10 plagues of Abraham. So the ice are melting, people's homes are disappearing, the worldly bodies like UN report warm climate change for humanity. We see the litters are increasing, the earthquakes, and from the first seal up to the formation of the beast system or the eighth kingdom, when the dominion of Satan mostly is from the duration of 1600 to 2019 I meant to say, which equate to the 400-year prophecy from 1600 to 1800. He didn't have full dominion. From 1830 onward up to end of 2019, it was part of the half a time, and the end of the 400 brought about the escalation of the plagues, of the natural disasters, you can name them. So if Satan is allowed to implement his plan, there will be great misery and destruction at the end on the earth. And if his power is just left unchecked or unlimited, given free dominion by the righteous, the prayers of the righteous, who will be upholding the other end of the balance of the law, there will soon be destruction on the earth, and which the Father has created to bring happiness. So there will be misery and suffering because of the misuse of the law. And this will be happening in the latter days. 26. And it shall come to pass in the later days, when the Father shall no longer hold him bound, that such as Satan shall have no further restrictions upon him, and he shall begin to use this power to reward them that follow him. And in that day, that he shall begin to rage in the hearts of the children of men and have power over them. There shall be many who shall introduce into the world their inventions and their ideas and their contraptions, which shall use the laws of nature or the laws of heaven to do the bidding of Satan in all things. The inventors, those who come introduce new ideas and contraptions, that sounds like scholars to me. For this thing, 28, which shall be introduced by the power of Satan, shall be used by those who have invented them and introduced them into the world to get gain and to become rich. So why do we become intellect? To get gain and become rich and become famous, yet in the name of helping humanity, of course. And much of the inspiration that they shall receive in inventing these things shall come from their desire to not work by the sweat of their own brow and perform manual labor all the days of their lives. So they become inventive so that they could sit and enjoy without sweating anymore. And now the Father gave the commandment to Adam and Eve that they should work and eat by the sweat of their brow all the days of their life for a righteous purpose. So Adam and Eve were given the commandments, and commandments are natural laws, are heavenly laws that are implemented on the earth for the sake of men, righteous sake of men, to guide them to enjoy and stay happy while in mortality. And this purpose was so that we must learn through experience how glorious and wonderful his kingdom of glory shall be unto us. Whose kingdom? The Father's glory. Kingdom of glory shall be unto us when we inherit them. That is to say, when we become gods like him and do not have to work therein to sustain ourselves. 30. And we saw that eternal worlds or heavens as spirit children of, and we saw these eternal worlds. So we saw these heavens or galaxies or planets as spirits. So as spirits, we originate from heavens as spirit children of the Father. That's why he said to Jeremiah, I knew you before you were even conceived in your mother's womb. What does it mean? It means as a spirit child, you were before me as your father. You came from my planet. I send you here for a purpose. Which purpose? So that they get to labor just like Adam and Eve, and they get to go through the commandment given to Adam and Eve that they should work and eat by the sweat of their brow, so that all the days of their life were righteous purpose. And this purpose was to what? So that they might learn through experience the glorious and wonderful, how glorious and wonderful the kingdom of glory of the Father is, so that we get to appreciate being gods and not laboring. For this reason, 31, we are placed upon this earth to pass through the days of mortality. So we are mortal as we are right now. We are born, we grow and die. grow old and die, or maybe they are born and die, depending on your path in life, and experience labor and toil and sweat and languor, so that we might appreciate and be happy with all that the Father has provided for us in his kingdom. 32. And now this is where Lucifer disagrees with the Father, or disagreed with the Father in the beginning. So this is the reason for the transgression. This is the reason why Lucifer ended up rebelling in heaven. So this is where Lucifer disagreed with the Father in the beginning, and then presented his own plan in which we might not have to suffer these things during mortality. So Lucifer was lazy. He said, why should I go through mortality and toil and sweat, go through hardship to become a god? I know I want to become God, so why can't I go straight away and be a god? And because of the plan that he presented to us, many of our brothers and sisters accepted it as a righteous plan, believing that it will ultimately bring eternal happiness to those who follow him according to the promises that Lucifer made unto them. And it is this plan that many have followed upon this earth during the days of their probation. And these are the rich and the powerful, who have set themselves up above all others, and who have enslaved others up above all others, and who have enslaved others to labor by the sweat of their brow. So they don't work. Instead, they enslave others to do the works, and they just sit and enjoy the benefits. So that those do not have to labor and become languorous. 34. Now, herein is the greatest problem with the plan of Lucifer, compared in points with the plan of the Father. Behold, in the plan of Lucifer, only a few can have riches and glory and the power. And they shall be given glory and the power over others because of what they perceive as being righteous desire, which are the righteous desire of Lucifer and not the desires of the Father. Behold, according to the plan of the Father, we are all equally created equal, and none is set up above another. In the plan of Father, there's no rich and poor, and there's no slave or slavery. All are created equal. In the plan of Lucifer, some are rich, some are poor, some are slaves. And those who have the knowledge and the power of the gods. What's the knowledge and the power of the gods? Those who he teaches, or he teach, depending on how English goes, those who learn how to exploit the laws of nature or eternal laws of heavens, they have the power of the gods, shall be servants to those who do not have this power. So in the plan of the Father, those who have the knowledge and the power of the gods shall be servants to those who do not have this power. And those who have this great eternal power have been given this power only that they might serve others and provide them with happiness that the Father has promised to all the children of his children who chose him as their God and follow the plan that he has outlined for themselves. But according to the plan of Lucifer 37, this power is given to all without regard to their righteous nature or the desire of their hearts, whether these desires only serve their own selfish interest or not. And according to his plan, in order for us to have this great power, it becomes a necessity that there are others who are our servants, or who do not have this power and authority, but shall remain servants to the gods of Lucifer forever. I hope you get that. In the plan of the Father, who is a God, he is forever a slave to his children. He is forever toiling and working to provide for his children who do not have the power of the gods as he has. But in Lucifer's plan, those who have the power of the gods, on the other hand, do not have to toil and work. Instead, they make those who have a lesser power of a god to be slaves so that they work throughout their lives to provide for those who have the power of the gods, those who understand and could tame and control the eternal laws of heaven and implement them in the plane of mortality. 39. Now this is the difference between the plan of the Father and the plan of Lucifer. For the plan of the Father makes servants of those who have the power of an eternal God. And the plan of Lucifer makes servants for those who have this same power. The plan of the Father makes servants of those who have the power of an eternal God, and the plan of Lucifer makes servants for those who have the same power. And it is also a part of the plan of Lucifer that there shall never be suffering, nor shall there be a commandment to labor like unto the commandment that was given unto Adam and Eve in the beginning. And it is because of the inexperience of Lucifer that caused him to rebel against the Father and cause others to follow him in his rebellion of the plan of Father. Inexperience. He lacked the experience of being a God. He was still a spirit child, and he felt he was already worthy. He needed training or trial to prove himself as a God, to prove himself worthy to possess the power of gods. 42. And the Father knew that the only way that he could prove that his plan was the most righteous plan, even the only plan that can be followed to find eternal happiness, is if he allowed Satan to be upon the earth and incorporate all aspects of his plan among the children of men. 43. And it shall come to pass that you of the later days shall see the fruits of the plan of Lucifer. You shall see the nations of the earth lust after the blessings of Satan that come from following his plan. And you shall think that you are happy following his plan, but in this you are deceived. For you know that you are not happy. You receive the temporary happiness of the fruits, but you do not receive the eternal happiness that lasteth forever, which is the happiness that the Father has promised unto you. And it shall come to pass that the people of the United States shall rise up their standard of living above all other standards throughout the world. So the people of the standard of living, they'll set the eternal laws as a promise for a better living in the United States, and it will be a model for the whole world. And they shall have an abundance of all the fine things of the world, so they should be blessed by Satan. And Satan shall begin to introduce his idea into the great society, and he shall be their God. So when he introduced the standard of living, of which he will become a God, he introduced, as we will see as we go on, money, which we know there is a law of money. He will introduce the law of money, and in this money he will write himself, the United States of America, in God we trust. That God that bring these blessings we trust. American United for Separation of Church, and the state. So the Corporation of America says Americans united for the separation of the church and the state. And if in God we trust, isn't it really a religious statement? So you see, the corporate America cannot be separated from the church, or the laws that he's introducing, and Satan shall begin to introduce his ideas into this great society, and he shall be their God. These laws, whether you will term them, view them as scientific invention, technological inventions, better standards of living, they originate from the spiritual or eternal laws of Father, the Creator. So there is no difference between those principles and the principles of the gospel or the scriptures of men or the gospel of Christ. The origin is the same, but the implementation might differ. But at the end of the day, it cannot be denied that you will have to say, in God we trust. For he says, or he called himself God, and seemed to have a plan that could be better than that of the Father. "45. And it shall come to pass that the people of the United States shall rise up their standard of living and all other standards throughout the world, and they shall have an abundance of all fine things of the world, the blessings of Satan, and shall begin to introduce his ideas into this great society, and he shall be their God, and to mock the plan of the Father, even to show forth his power among the people of the United States in the latter days. Satan shall cause that they shall inscribe upon their money the words, in God we trust, as I have shown you. And I have already explained this unto you, that they shall trust in their money above anything else upon the earth. That's the motto of the Americans, is the world, is the country, I think the land of the dreams, something like that, the motto that they normally present in the movies, in any advertisement about the America, especially if you look from the 19th centuries towards the early beginning of the 20th centuries, the land of promise. And because of the miracles of their technology and their science, many of the people of the United States shall not know what it is to sweat by their own barrel or to sustain their life, but they shall spend all the days of their lives in pursuit of money and the fine things of the world and the honor and glories that they shall set upon themselves. So, and we just saw that the United States, the standard of living of the United States they should rise up their standard of living above all other standards throughout the world. So it become the standard of living of the whole world, because it will be dominating the whole world. Satan will be dominating the whole world. And they'll be chasing what? Money, which is the mark of Satan as a God, the promise for his blessings. 49. And they shall cause many wars and rumors of wars because of this standard of living that they shall establish for themselves. And the children shall abuse and dishonor their parents, and they shall desire only to have the money of their parents as their own, that they might have more of the fine things of the earth without laboring with their own hands to obtain these things. So we are seeing misconduct of the children, and this will be coming with increased child, child rights. You can't touch a child, but they could do as they please, but you are still responsible for them. And in that day, a man shall rise up from his bed in the morning and think of that which he must do so that he can obtain more money and increase the abundance of the things that he shall already have. So you're a millionaire and you're still thinking of making more money to become a millionaire or a billionaire. And you are poor and you are still chasing money and you are still remaining poor. And he shall do whatever he can in order to get this money and increase his abundance and give unto those of his family. For he loveth all the things that he believes are the blessings from God. Which God? Satan, of course. Do we know we of the later days? We don't know. We can't tell the difference between Satan, the God, and Father as the God. And it shall come to pass that the parents shall give all these fine things unto their children while they are young. That's teaching their children that they do not need to work by the sweat of their own brows to obtain these things, but that these things are given to them freely. And because they follow the plan of Lucifer and give these things freely unto their children without requiring a sacrifice on the part of their children in obtaining these things, their children shall become dissatisfied with that which they have and shall not appreciate that which they have received of their parents and their mothers, believing that these things are freely given unto them without their own toil, and that these things should be expected all the days of their lives. But if they would have required a sacrifice of their children, and had they not given the things freely unto them, then the children will appreciate that which they have worked for with their own hands. 54. And after they have experienced what is necessary to obtain these things, then when these things are given unto them by their parents, then shall they honor their parents and know from their own experience the sacrifice that their parents have made for them in giving these things unto them freely. Now, this is the exact reason why our Father requires us to come down into mortality and be born and work by the sweat of our own brows and experience life without the glorious blessings that He has promised for us in His kingdom. Now, all these things that shall come to pass in the later days shall come to pass in the fulfillment of the words of John, which he wrote, saying, and he doeth great wonders, so that he makes fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men. Who does great wonders? Satan, or the dragon, and the beast. And deceive those who dwell upon the earth by the means of the miracle which he has power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image of the beast, which had the wound by a sword and did live. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, and the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. And now, this image of which John has spoken is the standard of living, that you shall think in the later days is the standard that should be set for the people of the earth. The image of the beast of which John has spoken is the standard of living, that you shall think in the later days is the standard that should be set for all the people of the earth. The image, the standard of living. And those who do not want to live by the standard that you shall set, you shall go forth in battle against them and slay them and cause them to bow down to your nation, which causeth that this standard be given unto all. 59. And the beast shall promise this standard unto all those who worship it, the standard of living. And it shall say unto all, peace, liberty, justice for all. Yeah, seek you for the fine things of the world, and establish yourself by the standards, and you shall be happy, as all those who follow me are happy. The standard of living: peace, liberty, and justice. You refuse peace, liberty, and the standard, which is the standard of living, the promise of that standard of living. He brings war against whoever refuses the standard, and slay them and cause them to bow down to him. Revelation 6:8. Revelation 6:8. And powers given unto them over the fourth part of the earth, the conquest of the Americas, to kill with the sword who refused his standard of living, and with hunger, starvation, and with death, and with the beast of the earth. Who is killing? Death and hell. That's the eighth kingdom that is waited for. 60. And it shall come to pass that all the words of John shall be fulfilled in those days. Yeah, even those words which condemn the beast and the great nation of the United States, upon which the beast sitteth in all of his glory.